One thing that's been really important to you throughout your career is collaboration. So was there something in particular that made you want to start working in that way?
It was absolute necessity, because when I began to choreograph, I couldn't dance. And then I went into the studio and I didn't know what to do. So I was working amongst others, and together we formulated movement. We had an exchange between each other, and it became a mode of working that's irresistible to me, and I can't stop doing that.
What are some works that come to mind when you think about collaboration?
One is a series of appointments.
Think before you make any changes.
I call it the first learning by one.
The first thing we did was walk without stopping. And I asked them to talk while they walked. And it was fascinating to see how their different characters took on or had to relate to the part of the circle they were in. And that was the beginning. I realized that once we had established that something so simple as walking a radius could be the seedbed of a huge amount of other issues that we could bring into it, we could start. The relationships between them became similar to something like a string quartet, where you have a score, but every single person has to be at the right place, the right note at the right time, and make a whole. At a personal level, at a nearly political level, at a social level, they were having to interact with each other the entire time, and it was nearly impossible to do. Andrea might use her relationship to the person next door. Annie might use her relationship to which corner she was in, as well as the other people. Charlie related to both. Lindsay saw the whole pattern the whole time. Conversation was complicated, argument was sometimes rife, but when it worked, there was euphoria.
Another work of yours that involved very complex collaboration was last year's Material Rearranged to Be. So could you tell me a bit about that work?
I commissioned 9 artists to make their own work, to be responsible, to be the authors of their own work. A little bit like a series of appointments, everybody worked in a different timing, with a different headspace. Some were more conceptual, some wanted to be physically engaged in order to find the concept that would make sense to them. Each distinct artist was given room to be themselves, but in the company, the good company of other people.
So all of these works were then made visible side by side in a gallery space. How did you negotiate how they would coexist?
We devised a massive score. Again, to slightly equate it with a series of appointments, the accuracy of timing, split level timing, was essential in order to make the whole work. In a 6-hour huge gallery space, we were having to work at much the same level of detail, but it was simply amplified.
Having worked in this way over so many years and in all of these different ways, what do you think is the value of collaboration?
I think it gives me a way of thinking how I would like our lives to be, how our world might be. It seems that we must understand each other and get the best out of each other. So in the confines of a studio or in a gallery or in a theatre, I think I'm trying to create situations in which everybody is able to give the best of themselves and to learn on the way, that every single thing that is done, every time it is done, you learn as an individual and you learn as a group, and that you share that. And it can go through trials and tribulations, it can go through pain, but the learning process, the doing, the being together just makes sense to me.